Hey everybody, Congressman Mark Green. Welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday. This week we're talking about the challenge facing America Part 2. Last week we talked about the Part 1. You can go watch that. As a recap, about 20 years ago, the ideologies of the two parties had some overlap, and we could actually govern where there was overlap. Unfortunately, over the past 20 years or so, those ideologies have grown so far apart. We're more free market, deregulation. They're more socialist and central control and central power. Well, what the problem with centralized power happens is these two parties have grown apart is, one side wins an election, the pendulum swings over here, you get all the executive orders because Congress is broken, and then the pendulum swings back to the left, executive orders, undoing executive orders, which is what we've got going on now. And the result is really anger on both sides. But that's not how it was intended to be, with the centralized power and the fight for the election being everything. The Founding Fathers actually wrote in the 10th Amendment that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or the people. And what that essentially means is if it's not specified in the Constitution, it belongs to the states. But we have done an end around. Over the past 60 years, the federal government has done this. Clearly in the Constitution, they can tax. And so they take the money back up to the federal government from the states, and then they trickle that money back to the states as long as the states comply with whatever rules. So take education, for example. We're going to tax you, and we'll give you some of those education dollars back, but you have to comply with our rules on how to run your education system. Well, that's an end around to what the founders intended. And while this centralized power is happening, you get this divergence of ideologies and you get all this frustration in election time. Well, there's a fix to this, and that is let's return the power to the states. And we can do that first by doing block grants. Maybe healthcare and education would be a good place to start. Give some money back to the states, let them run it. California can be as leftist as they want to be. Tennessee can be as right as they want to be. And then step 2 would be just stop taxing and keep the power, return it completely to the states. That's how we fix this dilemma. Thanks for joining me for Whiteboard Wednesday, part 3 next week, and we'll talk about how we make this happen.